Welcome to Call It Growth. Welcome to the podcast. Call It Growth is a space where I support my journey through my healing, my growth, and my connection to myself and the world. And I do this alongside anybody and everyone that finds comfort and safety on the channel. My name is Masachaba. A couple of people know me already just from engaging and listening to the podcast previously hosted on audio streaming platforms. This counts as the first official video format, and it is available on YouTube and Spotify video streaming. Okay. This is a start, right? We're building on existing on here, creating this persona on here. So it'll get better. I will get better at being able to speak to the camera in a comfortable and conversational way. I want to start off by saying thank you. I'm so grateful and so appreciative of the people, small as we've been, who have allowed Call It Growth to be our little community, with just a couple of videos and just a couple of conversations. I've been able to receive so much words of encouragement, so much support, and people finding this podcast relatable. I'm so thankful. I have no words in the world to be able to describe and show gratitude to the people that have done and supported the work we do on here. I hope we're able to grow continuously and in large ways, and I hope we're able to take this podcast to places that we see fit, to places that we find comfortable and safe. On that path of growth and just, the dreams and visions that I have for the podcast, I wanted to sort of backtrack and start at the point where I really started with the podcast. And so on this episode, I want to speak to you regarding the reason why we're now in this Call It Growth era. Why I wanted to create Call It Growth and why growth was such an important theme in my life from the inception of this podcast and will continue to be the guiding theme for this podcast. Before we go anywhere, I do want to start off by putting a disclaimer. One, I am not a professional in any mental health or mental related, help or assistance. So I am by no means encouraging or discouraging any sort of work that you would be doing on yourself that may impact on your health. Two, I do want to say that as much as we are in the conversation of healing and growth and becoming better versions of ourselves, I don't want to take away from the pace that you are going with your healing. I want you to be able to take the things on this podcast that absolutely work for you and leave the rest. Do not rush your healing. Do not put pressure on yourself, on your healing. And most importantly, your own pace. Stay at your own pace. So this conversation really is about why we're here. Number one, for me, I found it important to be a reflector. So the first reason why I started Call It Growth was for the opportunity to reflect and to do so intentionally, but also creatively, right? I've done a couple of, live video sessions on my Facebook, and through that I found that a lot of people were sharing and sort of hinting at the fact that one, I need to continue doing this sort of work, but two, that they are able to relate and they're able to hear things that they would not necessarily have been able to vocalize and make sense of. So it was important for me to then be able to put intention towards my ability to reflect on where I am, what I'm doing, how I'm showing up in life, in relationships, everywhere. And to be able to then use those reflections as a starting point to my healing. It is not, and something I read about or heard yesterday is that even though we are working towards being more self-aware, that does not directly translate to us being healed, right? So I understood my ability and my call to reflect as a stepping stone towards my healing, and not necessarily the actual process of the healing or getting to a point of the healing. So that was initially why I wanted to do this podcast. I wanted to be able to reflect and to sit and think about where I am, how I'm feeling, the things that I'm doing, what the effects of my actions, my words are on myself and the world. Okay. Secondly, I started Call It Growth to ignite that healing, to be able to identify the things that are coming up for me, the things that I am feeling, whether good or bad, that I may need to do some work on, right? If I'm feeling certain feelings of fulfillment and pleasure from things that I don't recognize as being negative, I wouldn't be able to do so without taking the time to sit back and think about what it is that I'm feeling and what does it translate to. So it was important for me to actually call myself into healing, through the space, to be able to speak about the things that I'm going through, to be able to listen and hear what other people are saying about the things that I'm saying, and that may be calling me towards my healing, towards my regeneration, or which is another thing which leads into my third point of why I started the podcast, right? So it was important for me to intentionally, again, set the intention to ignite healing, to not only start, but to continue going back into healing. I do want to say that something I've become a little bit more aware of recently is that when I speak of healing, and when we speak of healing and becoming better versions of ourselves, it is not necessarily a conversation of starting and stopping, rather a conversation of continuing to. So continuing to heal, continuing to better ourselves, continuing to fill our cups, right? I am not saying that after we've had a couple of conversations, we are going to see ourselves, or I'm going to see myself at a place that is better off than where I am now. I could sink deeper into a certain unpleasant place, mentally, physically, unknowingly, right? I do want to make that clear that I do not put pressure on myself to heal or to go through this journey and have a desirable outcome, right? I'm doing it because it is a necessary part of feeling present and, being aware of where I am. But then what the outcome is will also be defined by whatever factors lead to that. The other reason why I started Call It Growth was to be able to support my desire to advocate for myself and for mental illness in this country. I have had instances and I think I'll speak about this in future podcasts. I've had moments and times in my life where I required mental support services, and that has come at impossible and unachievable and unattainable costs and requirements, right? I wanted to be able to, through this conversation and through more dialogue, continue to advocate for my need to receive mental support help, and the needs of the people around me to receive mental support help. I am not sure how or what it is that can be done to achieve equal access to, in fact, access to mental support services, but I'm willing to start, and I'm willing to get into figuring it out, and I'm willing to have more dialogue and more conversations and engage people more, so that we're able to find a way. I do acknowledge that there are NGOs and different programs and institutions around South Africa that try to achieve this. And through this podcast, I hope to reach them in ways that allow them and us as a community of, call it, growth people, to be able to reach even more people, and to be able to do so in impactful, much more impactful, not to minimize the work that they're doing, but I would like to be able to be a part of that. And I hope this podcast and this channel enables me to do so. And if you are someone that is passionate about advocacy and bringing change towards the world, but particularly mental health, reach out. Let's have a conversation and let's see how we can work together, or just have a conversation really, as an ongoing process of trying to bring more awareness, destigmatize mental illness, and we can see what comes out of that. Right? So the fourth reason why I created or started Call It Growth is connecting to identity, or forming identity, something around being able to identify myself and being able to remove the identities attached to me non-consensually. I wanted to be able to build and create, but also remove, the themes around identity. In fact, to figure out what it actually means for me to have identity, what it means to form identity. I wanted to be able to do so on a continuous level, because I think this idea of losing myself and not knowing who I am comes up a lot for me. And so to be intentional about catching myself in moments where I feel a little lost, and to be able to feed into that process in ways that allow me to come out of them feeling like I know myself, or something along those lines. I really wanted to go into the journey of connecting to my identity, or being my identity, or something along those lines. And I hope that I'm able to spark that conversation within other people of what identity means to you, what it means to the way that you show up in the world, what it means to have identity, and why it's important to you to have that attached to you, or to the things that you do, the way that you heal, or the way that you grow. Connecting to identity was the fourth reason. The last reason why I created Call It Growth was to grow. I want to see myself move through themes and through seasons and through times, and I wanted to see myself evolve. I wanted to see myself go through the cycles of forming myself into a butterfly or not. I wanted to see anything that is different from the current within myself, within the way that I think, the way that I see the world, the way that I, move through life. I really found it important to be able to see growth and to be able to see evolution within myself. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what the next version of me looks like. I don't know if they're better or worse. I don't know if they're feeling inclined to heal or to grow. I don't know if they are healed. But it was important for me to start. And so on that note, I'm happy I'm so excited for you to be part of this journey, and for you to go through your journey, and for me to be a part of your journey. I hope you get where you need to be, or you are where you need to be. And I hope that you know that you're fully capable and fully worthy of the things that you desire for yourself and for your life and for the things or the people around you. Remember that you matter, you're loved, and you're important. I'll see you on the next episode of Call It Growth.